It feels good to be back. Today we're going to be talking about why today is still a good time to buy, and here's why. I'm Kyle Wong with the Moxie Real Estate team here out of Colorado, and if you have questions about any of the topics shared in this episode or you just want to learn more about it, feel free to reach out, connect with me with the links below. So let's get right into it. So why is it a good time to buy still? I know you've heard from your uncle and all of your friends who are experts in real estate and pretty much every headline that interest rates are soaring, the bubble is popping. And again, I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know what's going on. But yeah, interest rates are higher than they were, significantly higher than they were back in 2020, 2021. And now here in 2023, I mean, we're seeing 7.5%, sometimes 8%. And so I can't just throw out what the number would be for your individual circumstance, because obviously that's very specific. But I have compiled a list of why it is a good reason. You might be thinking, Kyle, you're just a real estate agent. Of course you're incentivized monetarily to say that. Yeah, I guess I do gain from when people purchase houses with me specifically. But no, I do not gain whatsoever from spreading information because that's stupid. So that being said, let's go down the list here. Interest rates are high. Shocker. Yeah, they are. I mean, you've heard the argument, like historically they're low, which technically is true, but with the prices of homes these days and the interest rates shot up, man, your affordability went from here to here real quick, and that's a big difference. And so the good thing is other people are just like you. Other people have friends and family who are experts advising them, don't buy a house, the bubble's about to pop, you're buying at the peak, blah, blah, blah. And they're hearing all the articles saying, now's a good time to, or now's a bad time to buy. It's terrible, don't do it, rah, 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 world ending. And that's a good thing. And the reason why is if other buyers are scared to buy and they have pulled out of the market and they're no longer in this, great. That means there's no more competition. Gone are the days of, $100,000 over asking, all cash, 12 offers, 2 seconds after the house has been listed. I went through that, and it was really tough for my buyers who didn't happen to have like 6 figures just on deck to send away on a house. And so that was really tough for a lot of people who I thought really deserved a home, wanted to get into a home, but just couldn't. It was actually kind of sad. But now with so few buyers in the marketplace, a lot of people still want homes, but they've pulled way back on their search. And so you have people out there, they want homes, but they're just scared. And again, that's a good thing because, the home that they were looking at maybe 2 years ago, all of a sudden they can't afford, and they're just waiting it out on the sidelines, just like you are. And so this is a quote by Warren Buffett, but be fearful when others are greedy, and be greedy when others are fearful. When everybody else is scared to go out there and buy a house, that's your time to go in and say, hey, I'm going to do it. And I'm not just saying that again because things are drying up. I'm saying that because I have buyers right now who are getting really good deals, and I'll talk more about that in a second. But since there are so few, I keep pointing over here because I have a document that I'm reading off of. But and I keep saying that because there are so few people out there. Listings, if you're a listing agent out there, man, it was amazing 2 years ago. It was even amazing earlier this year. But when things slowed down, you're hardly even getting showings out there. So on the flip side, that's a good thing for you buyers. You don't want other potential prospective buyers in homes that you're looking at. That means there's competition. And so if you're the only one out there, if you're the first one to submit an offer, you have leverage. So sellers are negotiating. So while it's technically still a seller's market, it may not feel that way due to amateur agents and other sellers who just either they have to sell for one reason or another, obviously they always do, or they're just not really experienced in negotiating and waiting and whatever it is. You have a little bit of power there. As the buyer, you can submit an offer and say, hey, I don't really, think this is worth this, or this isn't updated, or this, that, and whatever. And you can say, hey, I want concessions, I want a lower purchase price, I want whatever. Obviously, I'll walk you through the steps of how to do that depending on the situation, but I've seen that so much recently just because, again, listings are sitting on the market just waiting for somebody to submit an offer. And I've seen more listings than I have ever in my career because that are saying things like, $5,000 seller concessions, or seller willing to buy down the rate, or seller offering, this short time offer, blah blah blah. They're throwing everything they can out there to get their listing sold. Whereas 2 years ago, you threw an iPhone photo up on the MLS, boom, sold the next day, like over asking. It was crazy. So there are more options now because of this. And while we still have low inventory, and what that means is there are still fewer homes on the market than there really should be, according to a normal market, buyers are snatching up exactly what they want because the purchase power has squeezed them to really be very picky about what they want. What I mean by that is, as the affordability went down, buyers aren't, and the competition went down as well, buyers aren't just going out and buying anything they can. They're really looking at homes. They're looking at 2, 3, 4. I went on 7 showings in one day with one of my clients the other day, and they didn't pull the trigger on anything, which is fine. But they can afford to do that because they have options, right? Listings are sitting. If something's not perfect, again, great listings that are priced right, that are marketed well, are still getting snatched up very quickly. So I'm not saying take your sweet, jolly old time, but listings are selling if they're good. But if there's something that's not right, not marketed well, bad photos, priced too high, or just, way off, maybe the house is outdated or something like that, it's gonna sit. And so that being said, there are just more options for you as a buyer to go out there and see, and that moves me right into my next point, is there's more time. So instead of having to go to a house, pretty much have an offer ready, which 2 years ago, that's actually what I did. I had a buyer client of mine. We saw so many houses and struck out so many times that eventually I would write up the offer before we ever saw the property. We'd go see it as fast as we could, and then pretty much I said, hey, sign here if we're ready to go submit the offer, but if not, we'll just keep going along. And so it was a lot of work, and it was really tough, and we still struck out on that many times. But anyways, you get more time as the buyer, so you can be a little bit more selective. Not a little bit, quite a bit more selective on the home. You actually have time to sleep on it. You can look at other options. You don't have to just rush right into a big decision. And it is a big decision, so this isn't really something you want to have to rush into. So you have time to do your research. And then if all of that didn't convince you, which if it didn't, it's fine, I get it. But I just bought a house. I'm actually in it right now. Well, maybe not a house. It's a condo right by Cheeseman Park. I bought it August 15th, 2023 is when I closed. And it's incredible, and I love it. And me being in real estate, I obviously have a little bit of inside knowledge about certain things, and so I did anything and everything I could to get a great rate, to put as little down as possible, and to make sure that I was doing all my due diligence. But guess what? If I did it for myself, I do it for you. It's not just something that I reserve for me. That's what I do for all my clients. And so I wanted to put my money where my mouth was, and buying a home was a big goal of mine. I wanted to own something. I wanted to start gaining equity, because this is my first actually. I wanted to start gaining equity as soon as I could, because I know it's a long-term play, it's a long-term investment strategy. And I always tell people this, you're gonna have to live somewhere, and unless you're living rent-free, you're gonna be either spending money on rent, which never comes back to you, or you're gonna be building equity. And look, this place, I think it's pretty sweet actually. I'll live here for a long time, but it's not the most glamorous thing in the whole wide world. It's not some mansion with a 12-car garage and like 2 pools, but it works, and I love it. And if you guys want to get into something like this, let me know. Usually your first home isn't the most glamorous, but the first time for most things usually isn't. So yeah, that's just about it for me. So I appreciate you guys sticking around, and if you have any more questions about why you might think or you might not think it's a good time to buy, which there are legitimate reasons why not to, let me know. But I'm Kyle Wong with the Moxie Real Estate team here out of Colorado, and yeah, if you want to get in touch, trying to see if I missed anything. Yeah, if you'd like to get in touch, reach out using the link below. If you have questions about anything I talked about, any of the topics I had mentioned, or you just want to learn more about it, reach out, connect. I'm a real person. You can actually call me, text me, whatever. So I look forward to hearing from you guys. Thank you.